What's going on, everyone? iLootGames here, back with another video, and in this video we are going to discuss Caustic, everyone's favorite character who is now getting a buff. Let's see those Caustic mains dance. While everyone seemed confused as to why Caustic would be buffed, Daniel Klein, a developer at Respawn who deals a lot with game balance, came out to say that Caustic is indeed weak. Here is his tweet referring to the buff coming out where the tactical cooldown is reduced from 25 seconds to 20. Yep, that one was super easy to do. It took me about 10 minutes to do and verify and 2 to 3 playtests to convince me it wouldn't hurt the game. And Caustic is, in fact, one of the weakest characters in the game. This tweet set off a storm with over 130 retweets, a lot of them by big named Apex pros and streamers, where they all seem to disagree with what Daniel is saying. I believe it's important to the discussion to also add in some other things that Daniel Klein tweeted to other people. Sometime around March 2020, and then he kept performing extremely poorly throughout the year, and eventually I had to do something, especially after taking Gaspler away. You don't seem willing to accept my core message here. Caustic is weak. If we react only to frustration of the playing against case without compensating measures to total power, we end up with an unplayably weak character. I've got to be the guardian of Caustic players as well, and not overreact to frustration. Let's put it this way, you don't remember the many times you killed a Caustic before they could do anything to you because of his bigger hitbox and lack of power at range, or you figured it was just a skill difference, but you do remember the rare time Caustic effed you up. Caustic's problem is that his power level is extremely weak. We have the data to back this up, and the frustration of playing against him is pretty damn high. Anecdotally, unfortunately, we do not have good data on frustration. I decided to take a closer look. Could it really be that Caustic is weak? We have to think about what they are looking at from their point of view as developers, where they can see all the analytics to then make a decision. So I also retweeted the tweet to get feedback from those of you that follow me on Twitter. Thank you, by the way, if you follow me on Twitter, asking what everyone thought about the buff. But in the question, I pointed out where I think maybe where the decisions came from. I see a lot of people tweeting about Daniel Z. Klein's message here saying Caustic is weak. What do you think? My guess is his 1v1 win rate is very low. His mid game is very low. His pub pick rate is very low. His win early drops is also very low, but his in-game win rate is very high. So let's think about this. Do you fear a Caustic 1v1 when you run into him? It's likely you do not. He has no escape, he has a huge hitbox with bad movement, and his tactical can literally be one-tapped on deployment to destroy it. The other thought I have is about his ult. If it is a 1v1 and he uses it, he is extremely vulnerable. As long as I can avoid being in the middle of it on deployment, I'll be fine. I understand with the end game, it's not likely you can avoid it, but this doesn't change what analytics they are probably looking at that show him being very weak for the rest of the game. Now, I do understand that where Caustic comes in clutch is locking down a building similar to Wattson, so his use should be as such. The issue is that the majority of players play pubs. Pubs are fast paced, no one wants to camp a building the whole game, and the ring a lot of the time is much larger than what a Caustic ult can completely disrupt. I personally do not have an answer to the issue here, and Daniel Klein seems to have stopped wanting to talk about it on Twitter after he actually answered people quite a bit. He did not, however, share the actual statistics, so I'm just guessing at this point. To have a fair discussion though, I want to show you what people commented on my Twitter and maybe answer a few along with a couple tweets from other pro players. Yes, indeed, Caustic in new map Olympus is kind of useless. I'm a Caustic main. Caustic buff is only complained because of that small last circle chaotic fight, for real. Or they implement a moving circle or disable the skills because that is a show, no skill involved. This refers to his ult being able to take over an entire in circle, which I agree is very annoying. Disabling abilities in circle or having a moving in circle is an interesting idea. Well, love to see your guys' thoughts in the comments about that. Devs using controller to play their FPS game, I can't take serious.
Bruh.
You know how annoying and dominating Caustic is on Winter Express? Yes, it's like that in game too when in buildings or getting third party by a rando gas grenade. I don't know what lobbies y'all get, but Caustic isn't weak in mine. So what he is referring to is Caustic's ability to trap up a building, similar to the Winter Express train, to which I would say yes, we know Caustic is good at trapping a building. However, when it comes to early drop fights, not really much of an issue considering he gets one canister every 20 seconds. Mid-game, he is a liability rotating and has no escape. 1v1, I'm still not scared of Caustic like I am a Gibby and a Wraith. Being third party by a random gas grenade does suck though, I can't agree with that, but we aren't talking about his gas grenade being buffed. I think this brings up another point Daniel mentioned. Most of the comments all seem to be from a frustration of fighting Caustic. Yes, Caustic is frustrating in a fight. Sometimes you feel like a cat trying to get a mouse that's in a cage. You can't get enough to actually grab him because of the gas. But in this case, it's a giant, obese, slow mouse, and when he is out of that cage, he's done for. While he may be frustrating to fight against, and everyone remembers when they are frustrated, if he was so powerful, why isn't everyone picking him? The answer is that he is powerful in certain situations only and very vulnerable in other situations. Wraith is always picked, and for a reason. Not because she has pretty colored skins, it's because she's the most powerful legend due to her abilities, hitbox, and movement. People will always flock to the most powerful. Caustic is a good legend. The problem is the knuckle draggers who think every legend is an assault class legend and don't understand how to use kits correctly and think that pushing is the only way to play the game. I can agree with this opinion somewhat. A lot of people want fast-paced games where Caustic does not fit. I'm not going to go insane, but all what these people care about is themselves. They want the devs to buff Wraith to the top and nerf all other characters they don't like. They don't care that devs spend effort making characters that should be balanced with like others. I think this is somewhat valid point also. Thank you for replying to my tweet. And then I had a short interaction with Snipedown, who plays for TSM. 2 to 3 playtests will never be enough of a sample size to determine that, especially assuming this was done at a low level of play. Now, what he's referring to is Daniel said that he was able to make the change from 25 to 20 seconds and then playtest it 2 to 3 times, and he was convinced that it wouldn't hurt the game. I then replied, I agree with that if it's a perm change. However, as we've seen, I think we all end up being the real test dummies. Do you think the impact on rank will be that big? We've seen even with the last buff, most teams not running Caustic in ALGS, although some still choosing him. Now, the reason I said we are test dummies is because a lot of times buffs come out that are just too powerful, such as the Devo changes, and the devs normally push out a small patch to change the issue after seeing our reaction to using the new buff. The other thing I wanted to ask here and get a reply about was the fact that we are talking about 25 seconds down to 20. So what would that allow Caustic to do? That would just basically allow him to trap up a building faster, maybe use more traps to defend himself when he's at a lower rank, and also to deal with the fact that his traps get shot down. He replied to me, they didn't run it because there wasn't enough time for people to switch their comp quick enough. Caustic also forces teams to pick Caustic since his only counter is himself and now Crypto. He makes a valid point. As a pro player, I had to agree with what he's saying because he is experiencing it, and especially at a high level. I agree with the Caustic also forces teams to pick Caustic since his only counter is himself and now Crypto. The question is, where does the balance come in between playing a character like Wattson, who has good movement, a much smaller hitbox, and ultimate is so helpful to their team? I think we are still going to see people choosing Wattson because the fact that you can deploy the trap faster doesn't make an enormous difference except for the time to trap up a building late game. It'll be interesting though to see what the changes result in, as really it's hard to tell about changes until everything plays out. Normally when we see buffs and nerfs, there's always something that people pick out and they complain about, and sometimes it fades away as the game goes on. This new massive change that we're going to see, perhaps we will see complaints about that. We didn't see them right away. There's going to be things that always come out of the blue. The Hemlock being an example. The Havoc changes. The Prowler changes. All of these things seem to come out of the blue, and we will see in the future what the result is. That's going to be it for me though. I apologize that this video is only about one topic. I know I usually cover a lot more. I hope you enjoyed though. Congratulations to Cal Monster for winning the Nintendo Switch in this week's subscriber tournament on Twitch. If you would like to participate in such things, join me on Twitch. The link is always in the description, twitch.tv/ilootgames, and come hang out. I'll catch you guys later.